I'm Jake Braithwaite, a Jesuit regent currently teaching at Brooklyn Jesuit Prep. I love attending Holy Thursday Mass with my parents. Even when I moved away from home, I would rush back from school or from work to make sure that I could attend the liturgy with them. Every year, we would wash feet and process with the Blessed Sacrament and celebrate in the Last Supper. The mood after the lengthy liturgy was always both festive and solemn. One year, my dad got a call as we walked back to the car. It was my younger brother, whose high school weed habit had morphed into much harder drugs when he got to college. After the liturgy, he accidentally called my dad from a party. He sounded pretty far gone already. Since I lived a few hours away, I hadn't really experienced his drug abuse so directly. Not too long before, my parents had gotten a call from a hospital after a particularly wild night. It was a miracle he survived. And the looks on their faces after the liturgy showed that they expected tonight could be the same. I have to go get him, my dad said. After all this, I thought, we had to go and drive to a party downtown to pick up my idiot brother. The festive spirit went out of the air as we made our own transition from the solemnity of Holy Thursday into the grief and the chaos of Good Friday. I'll come, I said. So I joined my dad on a journey that he had taken many times before, trying to rescue my brother from his reckless, destructive self. He wasn't happy to see us. He got into the car in a rage, furious that my dad would deny him a fun night. He kicked the seat and complained and threatened to get right out of the car on the highway. But as we got about halfway home, his attitude shifted from anger to grief. "Dad," he said, "I just want to have friends." And in that honest, drug-addled yearning, I caught a glimpse of the deep wounds that he was trying to heal with whatever street drugs he could find. In the stressful car ride to save him, I also experienced the agony that would continue to torture my parents for years to come. In the spiritual exercises, St. Ignatius invites us into the third week to stand at the foot of the cross. After spending substantial time with Jesus in his earthly ministry, we're invited to watch our teacher, our friend, our healer be killed in the most gruesome way. This man, who has been everything for us, enters into great suffering. As David Fleming notes, the third week is about how difficult acceptance is. We know the story of the Passion. He says, Ignatius wants us to experience it as something fresh and immediate. In his directions for the retreatant, St. Ignatius insists that one must ask for grief with Christ in grief, anguish with Christ in anguish. My experience with my brother on that very early Good Friday morning came alive again when I made the long retreat. It's often easier to turn away from his suffering, to escape from the depth of despair where he lives. As Jesus walked up Calvary Hill carrying his cross, I saw my brother carrying the heroin needle that had at that point become his burden. As Jesus was nailed to the cross, I watched my brother lifted up on this instrument of his own destruction. I watched my mom stand with Mary, two mothers helpless to save their suffering sons. Overwhelmed, I wept. As George Aschenbrenner notes, the resurrection is no miraculous afterthought. Rather, he says, one has to walk around in the hollowness of this loss. We cannot rush on to the empty tomb, but must first experience the overwhelming, stunning death.